So what I'm going to talk to you about is something practical that we've implemented at Places for People. So I'm Dean Garvey-North. I'm our technology officer at Places for People. Some of you may or may not have heard of us. We are a house builder. We run affordable housing. We run a number of leisure centres, Places Leisure, especially down in this part of the world. We have some financial management areas of our business as well. So we're a whole mix in terms of our organisation. In terms of our size, we've got about 10,000 employees. About 70,000 of our assets are affordable homes. We've got about £4.9 billion worth of assets. We've grown hugely through acquisition, so we're not simple, straightforward. We are very complex. There's about 20 businesses or 20 companies in total across our group, but they're the 5 main areas that run off. I think it was a gentleman or someone said earlier about digital transformation in the other areas, was in workshop 2. I think that was on about it earlier today. So I've heard about it quite a bit today. What I'm going to go through is around how we practically deliver digital transformation through digital product teams. So one of the key things that's often asked is, well, what are you transforming into? What is digital transformation? And then when do you know you've transformed? And CIOs have been kind of under pressure recently, and especially through COVID, around this digital transformation. So one of the things that we worked through was, well, what is digital transformation and what do you want from your digital transformation? No one can ever answer. So we started to thinking about our digital product teams around how we can then start delivering that. And then how do we know where it's done? Well, in all, we don't know when it's done. It should never be done, because otherwise you fall behind. So the first part for us is, what do we want to transform into? Let's start with our circle of influence. Within IT, let's start with our circle of influence, and then let's let it grow and see where we get to. So I'm just going to go through kind of how we created our digital product teams, how we changed our approach to accelerate this transformation. And the reason we harped on around transformation is because it was a buzzword within the organisation. So we talk their language, their ears prick up, they get excited about it, and then we start delivering. The key thing was about our customers and our colleagues' experience. So our strategy is 2 simple pillars. One's to simplify the life of our customers, the other is to simplify the life of our colleagues. We do not refer to our fellow colleagues as our customers, even within IT, because they use the same services as we do, and we try and drive towards the same outcomes. And that was a big step for us in changing that mindset of the business. We got rid of SLAs. We are not driven by SLAs. We are not having a contract with a part of our organisation to deliver a service that everybody uses. No one's going to waste their time getting out of contract and say, you did not get back to me in 8 hours. So what is the point in wasting my time? It does not enhance our customer or our colleague experience. So we use the same method, we use the same team, and we just changed our methodology. Now, we're an organisation that's been around for a very long time. Up until recently, we had a chief exec that had been with us for 20 years. We have public sector mindsets in some parts of the organisation. So very difficult for them to get to grips with how we move forward, how we change, how we adapt to new technology. So we didn't go and get a load of bearded hipsters in to try and work with us and how we code and move to DevOps and site reliability engineering, beg your pardon. We just talk to them about how we're going to deliver change for the organisation. And then using our data to understand the services that we deliver. Data often sits within IT, so why are IT not using their data to help move us forward? The other thing is that we moved in from being a back office function. Similar to what I said about these SLAs, we don't want to be a back office function. Every organisation sees technology as their driver and the way that they're going to transform their organisation and get that competitive edge. But those same organisations don't often see that their own technology team or IT team can do that. And that's quite a big change that needs to happen within the industry and within a lot of organisations. They tend to go and outsource or get consultants to tell them things that they probably already know within their own IT teams. So we had to work up that value change. And the thing for around that was us getting in front of our end customers, outside of our colleagues. how we've reshaped our steering group. So we looked at how we're going to deliver this change, how we're going to deliver technology to the organisation, and what a steering committee looks like, and how we deliver customer outcomes and value going forward. Now, we've been doing this for about 2 years or so. I've been with Places for People for about 2.5 years. Took us about 6 months to get going, but we've been doing this for about 2 years. So within the first year, we had 163 releases within a 12-month period. That was up 186% on the previous year and anything else before that. Our availability was 996. Depending on what industry you're from, that may look bad. For us, that's good. We're not a bank. We're a housing association at heart. We build homes. We manage properties. So 35 seconds downtime a day we can cope with. So that was a huge increase from us because we was low down dealing with legacy platforms and or ways of working. And our NPS, our internal NPS for our colleagues was 97 plus. So we're better than Tesla and Amazon and most other organisations that are out there. That was up about 19 points. Again, with a lot of IT companies within our sector, we were seen as quite down in the dumps. People didn't really rely on IT or liked us, so that was a huge score for us to start branding about. We're now seeing some of that in our external customers' growth as well. Yeah, there we go. So most of you recognise this as a kind of structure towards your IT team. You know, you've got your service desk, your first line, second line, app support, all these different silos throughout your team, all working on different things at different times. Everyone thinks they're doing a great job and everyone's really busy. We're all busy, busy, busy. But what are you busy doing? Are you busy delivering value or are you just being busy? Most people are just busy. And the one thing that frustrates me is ticket bouncing. So I sit with the rest of our executives and they used to say how poor IT are, how slow we are to respond. 70% of the calls into our service desk were non-IT related. It was all, how do I do this? How do I do that in terms of how do I book leave? How do I add a new home on our housing management system? Well, IT, that's not our job. You just use a piece of technology to do that. So we looked at how we needed to change our team a bit, remove some of these silos and things bouncing around. Had IT monitoring, great, but it's all component-based monitoring. You know, who cares if the CPU's high? Who wants to get out of bed at like 3 in the morning because a disk's filled up? May crash the system, but why do we want to get someone up for that? Why should that be happening at 3 in the morning? The system's using high memory usage, and what? Does that matter to us? Do we really need that level of monitoring, or do we need to look at it a new way? So we did, and we started our cloud journey. And we started moving more and more services into the cloud. The main thing about us moving into the cloud was, what can we do around our teams? What can we do around the services we provide and what cloud services can we utilise? So not just this lift and shift. Many of you have probably sat in front of the big 3 cloud vendors and they have a lovely whiteboard and they go, within 12 months we're going to transform you and we do a lift and shift and then we're optimise and then we're modernise and so on and so forth. It doesn't really happen. And that works great for your infrastructure, but does it work for your team? No, not really. So what did we do? Well, we took out functions that we no longer needed. We kept the people on board. We just put them in different teams and had them focus in a different way. We didn't really need DBAs. We could absorb that function into some of our development teams. We used software as a service models, or we used serverless components. And they were the big drivers for us. How can we remove our operational overheads to get more efficient? And again, this was all a part of us building our platform as an IT team to go and teach the business how they should run their operations. And this is a big thing that people don't really like. IT's relatively new as an industry. You know, our first CIO was mid-80s maybe. CFOs have been around for ancient Greek times maybe, you know, a very long time. So people don't realise how quickly we move. So we did this all around how we increase our efficiencies. And because we were starting from such a low base, we had so much headroom to grow into. So we continually see things moving around, then we brought in service availability. So this is different from service monitoring. So what are our services we're monitoring and the availability and performance of those services? Not individual components, because I don't really care about those. I want to know around our end customer-facing services and how they're performing, not just the components that make them up. And that's where we really started to make our change. We brought our teams closer together. We made sure that we had self-healing monitoring as well. Now this is quite achievable. You could probably Google AWS Lambda self-healing, take you to the Lambda page and it gives you loads of good examples. Google and Azure will do exactly the same. And it's basic component monitoring that we didn't really need engineers to do. And again, if we want the business to change, how are we going to expect them to change if we don't do it ourselves? And people won't change, so let's do it ourselves and take it to them. So we did this, and again, what other services can you automate? What other services do you need to monitor? And how do you measure the performance of those services? Google called it site reliability engineering, and we took a lot of their practices into that. Now, yes, they're a very code-heavy, development-heavy team, but actually, if you look at the principles of what they're saying, it's really relevant, it's really good. So then we started introducing what we called product managers and service owners, which again are a bit of buzzwords at the moment. Everyone's talking about product managers, but what do they mean to us? So within IT, we looked at the services that we offer, or the services that we felt had the most value. And there's no getting away from we have legacy platforms. That's just a fact, most people do. So yeah, we started to look at what we were doing around the services we offer. And there are more than this, and there are more products than this that most people have, but we looked at our core ones for our services. We simplified our product strategy in terms of what we produce as products within IT. And we started to make sure that all our team members were working to some clearly defined goals and deliverables, and not just working in their individual silo teams. And this again is how we wanted the business to operate. Here we go, that's the one. Ta-da. Right, so yeah, in short, we striped our teams. Matrix management, squads, whatever you want to call them, we refer to them as squads. And we made sure that these product owners and these service owners owned the service that they were there to deliver, end to end. It did not matter which team they touched on, they were the end owner. And people go, well, how do you get around resource constraints? You know, you can only have so many resources, and this goes back to using our data to inform our decisions around where our workflow. Yes, sorry. Go.
So we're in a very similar position at the moment. We've striped horizontally like you have.
Yep.
The question we're juggling at the moment is, when you talk about product managers and service owners, apart from the fact that we haven't very clearly defined what either are right now, that's another problem we have to surmount. But do your product managers and service owners, do they own the teams that deliver the work against those products and services, or are they simply owners of the products and the services, and they have teams assigned to them when they're working on those services?
Yes, they are the latter. Yeah. So again, we didn't restructure our team. One, because HR is a nightmare. Secondly, because we wanted to make a difference. And then if we said we had to restructure our team, the business wouldn't have been interested. So yeah, all these team managers still manage their teams. The difference is now they manage skill set and resource. They do not manage ticket queues or who's doing what. So no longer their old term boss tells them what to do. The service owners tell the team what resources they need, and they get the resource assigned. If we have skill challenges, and with most, human challenges, some engineers are just better than others, some are more in demand, well, that means that that team manager's then got a challenge on their hand. They've got to try upskill their team. They've got to use the data that they've got around the tickets we're getting in, around our roadmap and demand, to make sure they've got the skills to enable us to deliver that. Well, what else these guys do is around the prioritization, so they speak to our business owners around what's the priority. So we're forcing the business to make priority decisions, and we've removed so many vanity projects. You know, it's all around business generated value, not I want a new system? Why do you want a new system? And you go this back and forth. So at a very senior exec level, we now have a committee that reviews priorities. And we have these tiered priorities. Because as with most IT teams, we had hundreds of projects to get through, and we were never going to get through them. So we took this approach. So yes, the team's managers are still there, and they are skill set managers, and they need to look at the next as well. They've got to continually evolve their team's skill set to make sure that we keep pace, and we call out where there's issues, or if projects are failing or services are failing, we need to look at why that is. So we run retrospectives even in our ITP1s. I haven't got it in this slide deck, but I coined it www.com, which is what happens, why it happens, where it happened, what communication we had, what our observations were, and what we're going to do moving forward. And people fill in those 6 boxes, because I'm not going to read a full report. I just scroll down to the summary. So just present me with a summary and tell me what we're going to do about it going forward. So we do that even within incident outages to make sure we continually move forward. Again, taking some of the DevOps and Agile movement into everyday service operations, because they are synonymous with each other. So where did we go next? We started thinking more about our customers, how we then impact our end customers, how we take in how they use our digital services across the organisation, and how our product managers can start aligning to that. Our big shift around this was our UX and UI design. So we built a UX UI team within IT, first looking at our colleagues' experience, but now we're starting to go out to our customers and look at how they use our products and services. And that was our big move. So we started with our customer. Where we went to next is we had our IT service owners. So we've got our security, we've got our architecture, our governance, our support and monitoring. We've got our business operations teams. One of the big things that we did is we had our data and analytics team sitting within IT. But we're an enabler for data and analytics. So we moved them into the business. Reason being is it means more, the data means more to them than it does us within IT. So why will we be a central point for data and analytics? We enable the analytics and we teach the organisation, these operations teams, how to utilise the data. We didn't just throw it over and say, there you go. We did this big teaching exercise with them, which took a long time, but we built up these analytical teams out within the business. And that goes back to the point I made earlier around when people are saying, well, we want to be this data-driven business. This is what we want to transform into. Well, you can't do that if only IT know how to analyse data. Where you keep going to one central place to give you data analytics about stuff that you should be seeing on a daily, hourly, minute-by-minute basis to enable you to adapt your services, right? So we also built IT product managers around our core services. And we simplified those into connectivity, which is how we get everything connected. So 4, 5G, Wi-Fi, wires in the ground, you name it, that goes into that platform. Data, huge product, huge platform. And that's, again, to enable the analytics, our data warehouse, data lakehouse, et cetera, et cetera. Productivity, that's essentially Office 365 and ERP. But we have an IT owner for those systems, and Salesforce, the only branded products, because we couldn't really think of anything better to call it. And it drives so much, whether that be field service, CRM, marketing. The reason we did this was because a lot of people you speak to, or a lot of things that you're hearing at the moment, is secure at the core and innovate at the edge. Well, that's great. But if you're not innovating at the core, then you're soon going to get left behind. So you still need people that are going to own these platforms to enable the innovation at the edge to happen. And also, when you're getting more and more citizen developers coming into your organisation, which is brilliant, they need the tools and services, data, etc., to be able to allow them to do what they need to do or want to do, and drive the organisation forward. This allowed us to build our line of business applications on something solid, something that we owned, and something that IT were then involved with these line of business applications, processes and ways of working. And then we started building in business products owners. Very small sub-team. Some call them process owners, some of them are service owners, but they were one and the same for us. The key thing about them was us starting small. We're a housing organisation. As I said, we build, we manage leisure centres, we've got affordable housing. We don't do anything more complex than that. You know, we don't sell software off the shelf. So products to us are outcomes, and that's how we branded them. But we wanted to use the terminology that people were hearing out and about at conferences such as these, and a number of our other execs and board members are hearing. So someone that's in charge of an outcome, you know, whether that be a customer complaint. Now for us, a customer complaint may be, my door is hanging off, and we get those types of things. Right, that's great. So that goes into our contact, or used to go into our contact centre. And that would be, right, we need our facilities management team to go fix that. That would then go into another team of facilities managers have to go out. We're not going to do that for 60 days. That's not urgent. Okay, well, where does that go? Who now owns that? That just sits with our facilities manager while someone's continually contacting the contact centre saying my door's hanging off. Yeah, well, we're going to have to invest in a new door or pay to get someone out there quicker. We're not willing to do that. Well, the contact centre, or our head of customer services, is saying, well, just pay for a bloody new door. Just go get it fixed, because it's costing us more money, wasting time, trying to keep this customer happy. By which point they'll be so disengaged, and we're going to get some really bad scores, and then more and more customers will complain about smaller and smaller things. And before we know it, we'll be one of those housing associations in the press with mould issues. So we made sure that we had process and product owners across the business that could make those decisions, because it was all about, well, what is the outcome we're trying to deliver? Regardless of the business operation team, the application, the service, the way it comes in, who's going to own it and who's going to see it through to the end. Again, IT are very much a part of those product teams. We are as much involved in them as that they are with using our applications. So we do this mainly on projects, but when we go into BAU, that's when we start to see the real difference. So in projects we do, and we create one formal team of IT and business operations to deliver something, and then we just carried it on after that. So beyond that, how do we continue to innovate? Well, again, because we've got these cross-functional teams, we can look at how technology can then solve more and more business issues. And then we started to reshape our steering committee. So instead of reviewing so much risk and minimising risks, we looked at how we continue to innovate. How do we continue to look at things in a new way? How we empower our colleagues and product teams to make decisions. These people that own these products are there for a reason. It's because they are meant to be the expertise in the room, the experts in the room. They understand their product, they understand their customer needs, so they should be empowered to make those decisions. And if they make poor decisions, then they're held accountable for that. But they should be accountable to kind of try and promote an idea that they know is right first. We enabled our product teams to set their own direction as well. We've got a well-defined business strategy, we've got a well-defined technology strategy. If it's moving us in the right direction, then great, they can then set their roadmaps. Again, this then comes down to prioritisation of resources and makes people make a decision on that. And we don't have formalised meetings all the time. These are not every couple of weeks checking progress. We do that within our own product teams. They're there when they deliver their sprints, they review the value that they've given. We pull our steering team together when there's either big successes, big failures, or priority decisions that need to be made outside of the product teams. So it's around streamlining those whole meetings, Many people have meeting fatigue over the past couple of years, and we look to take this forward. We found it very, very difficult to get people to make decisions. So now we've given the people the empowerment to make those decisions, apart from when there's major issues. So removing unnecessary meetings, like just this is what we've done this week, to which people aren't really bothered about. Our exec don't really care until we get to a desired outcome. Very expensive meetings. We just make sure that we have them when necessary. And then we get into, well, how do you actually do that? How do you continually innovate and improve? So our product managers create their roadmap around what they're trying to deliver. They set their categories, they set their aims and goals. So everyone's transparent on what we're trying to do. And we make sure that these are set out in a timely way to allow us to map our resource accordingly. Because if we don't do this, we then get bottlenecks and things slowed down. So everybody is transparent on what we're trying to deliver, the goals that are trying to be delivered. And again, as I said at the start, this is never ending. This doesn't stop. There is no we've done transforming. So this is continually innovating. Because again, no one knows what they want to transform into. What we transformed into, or gave the message on, is, well, if we have these digital product teams, then we can continue to innovate. And then we don't have to try and think about how we transform and how we keep pace. And as part of these roadmaps, we made sure that we had our planning horizons, our pipelines were clear, with the clear intent and deliverables. And then when we built the sprints, because we've running sprint cycles even within our business units now, we made sure that we had innovation as part of, or innovation areas as part of those sprints. So it wasn't continued just falling into BAU, because when we first started, what we got into the habit of is just delivering projects on a smaller time span and just doing BAU projects. So now as part of every sprint, we've got to have something new in there, something that's really going to try and change us. And if we don't, there's got to be a reason for it, and that's usually led by the steering committee. So it's how we continually stay on top, how we continually have these product owners to deliver new and exciting things and continue to add value, not just within IT, but across the whole of the business. The way the teams work is that they have to keep a steady stream. They have to keep moving forward, and they have to keep looking at the next. They have to get close to our customers, and then we have to deliver that value to our end customers, not just our internal colleagues. And again, in an organisation like ours, when I first started, a lot of the projects were about internal efficiencies. How we drive more efficiency, how we drive more automation, how we become more data process driven. But actually, what was the outcome to our customers? You know, right, we're going to spend all this money for what? Well, what does that, it makes us more efficient? Great. Do our customers see that? You know, how many customers say, oh gosh, I wish that house builder were more efficient. They know the mortgage application takes 3 weeks, that's their expectation. If we do it in 2 hours, great. They like that, that's fantastic. But that's a customer outcome of efficiency. That's not just being efficient for the sake of being efficient. So we've got to link it to an external deliverable. And that is me done. But yeah, again, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.